state is required by law to give the defense evidence of the crime they are being charged with. This is the purpose of the Brady Law and the right to due process. This is why in 2020, the United States enacted the Due Process Protection Act that provides defendants like me with greater protection, Brady versus Maryland. The state has continued to impede the defense from conducting a defense. Today, the defense is requesting that this court do the following three things. One, order the state to turn over all evidence of a conspiracy since our trial begins in 76 days from today. I would also ask that they would pare down their witness list to these witnesses that will actually be testifying so the defense can conduct productive interviews. And then I would like for all motions and responses to be sent directly to the defendant in a timely manner. I'm having a really hard time getting this stuff. I don't get it from ILS to 7 days after things have been filed, after your orders have been rendered. I'm not getting these. This defense intends on starting trial on time without delay, and I request that also that this defense requests that the court grant the motion to order the state to produce all discovery of extradition at this time so that we can get started on getting prepared for trial.
Wow. She's on fire. Lawyer Lori Daybell, representing herself. It's a murder trial, the murder of her husband, Charles Vallow, who was shot and killed by her brother, Alex Cox. But of course, prosecutors believe it was all orchestrated by Lori Daybell, who was Lori Vallow at the time, but now wants to be Lori Daybell. Well, we have her first, that was one of her first arguments in court. Now we've got her first motion papers, which is a motion to dismiss the case. The defendant was arraigned for 2 separate charges on December 7th, 2023. A trial date was set at that time for a speedy trial on April 1st, 2024. A speedy trial must commence within 150 days. The judge deemed these charges complex, which gives the state 270 days to give the defendant a speedy trial. The former defense team filed a motion for continuance, which the defendant objected to on the record, but it was granted, and a new trial date was set for February 24th, 2025. A Rule 11 was also filed by the former defense team, further delaying the trial, and a new trial date of March 31st, 2025 was set. By March 31st, 2025, let's do the math here. Good job, Lori. It will have been 394 days since the defendant was arraigned. The defendant's constitutional rights have been violated. The government must follow its own rules. So, how about that for lawyer Lori? And we've got our think tank back with us, Jack Rice, Marie Perrin, and Josh. If I'd like to serve you with a copy of the papers, please pass it down.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
So you can see the actual filing
Thank you.
by lawyer Lori. I want you to look it over. Tell me what you think.
I already see a typo. She calls herself defeatant.
Better than 90% of the sovereign citizen filings that I've ever reviewed. And I'm going to say she did a pretty darn good job.
She did.
Illustrating a tough issue
Yes.
that she's almost certainly going to lose on.
Right.
But she's making a record.
But she made a very good record, and it's going to be embraced by a lot of people saying, hey, she disagreed with what her lawyers were doing, which is her right as the client. There are certain things that you're not allowed to override your client on, and this may be one of those decisions. It will be reviewed by an appellate court. And depending on the record, there's teeth to this.
Well, and she also was objecting on the record when she did have defense counsel, and she references it here. That's actually pretty good for lawyer Lori.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's learning
Very
something.
good. Very
At
good.
least she's learning a new skill through all these trials.
And I think it's important because what this really illustrates, and we've seen this with other pro se people, how difficult it is to defend yourself when you have the hardship of incarceration, because you don't have access to what you would normally have to defend yourself on the most important issue of your life.
But I think she has a different motive in this case. This is about Apostle Lori. It's not about being lawyer Lori. She is going to convince this jury. She is going to not just recruit this jury, she is going to convince this jury.
They're going to be part of the 144,000?
Oh, yeah. Well, 144,012.
12, yeah. Okay. So I've got another question for the tank tonight, because we have had other pro se people representing themselves. Who wrote it better, Was it Lori Vallow Daybell or Sarah Boone? Because we went through some of Sarah Boone's filings before she got her lawyer. She was pro se for a while. So here's a little bit from a Boone motion for hard copy discovery. You ready? Motion for defendant to lawfully receive, review, utilize the original hard copy discovery submitted to the court by former attorneys. By receiving the original hard copy discovery, 2 boxes, A, B, in addition to the USB digital copies, the defendant is capable of viewing all discovery information available in continuous preparation of her trial, enhancing her ability to thrive lawfully in her forced by the court position of pros or pro se and representation of self.
That's a long sentence.
Yeah, there's a long sentence. Well, yeah, punctuation was not her strength. But who's better?
I think Daybell's motion is better. Because she not only...
Better than Boone.
She states the causes for her motion, and she cites the law, different sections that apply to the violation alleged by the state, and she didn't add any words of emotion to it, and she preserved her right on appeal. I think this is an excellent job.
But she has a broader skill set, actually. Lori does. Not Lori, but because she also was recruiting a lawyer. Do you remember that letter that she put out? Not
Sarah Boone.
Sarah Boone.
On
this
show.
That's right. When she put out that, it was like, you realize she has a skill set.
She does.
I'm not quite sure
it was well, I think handwriting. Her handwriting was very good, Sarah Boone. So what are your thoughts here about the trial of Lori Daybell? Because sometimes we have a pro se and you just see someone who's mentally ill.
She may be mentally ill, but she's totally competent to defend herself. She's oriented as to time, place, manner.
Are we going to now Jack believes it's going to be, she's going to try to use this as a platform for her beliefs,
Absolutely.
right? You agree with that? Or do you think she's going to defend herself? Here she's trying to get it dismissed.
I think the platform is defending herself, and she's trying to go from apostle to martyr, because there's no higher than martyr. You've given it up for the prophet.
But she got burned the last trial. The last trial, she left it with her lawyers, and what happened was they burned her to the ground. She wanted to come out and say, look at Chad. Chad is the prophet.
And she's going to put all of her faith in the powers above. This is deeply religious stuff, and what happens here on the plane of reality doesn't matter when you're worried about the afterlife.
Now, let's not, brother.
Let's not forget, though, the circumstances surrounding the death of her husband, Charles Vallow. She didn't physically do it, but her brother did it, and at the time, he claimed self-defense. Is she going to stay with self-defense, or is she going to go off the rails?
I think she's going to stay with self-defense. And let's be clear here. She's already serving life in prison. So this is an NTL type of move. She has nothing to lose except to be seen, maybe get herself an on-screen boyfriend who falls in love with her.
No,
don't
she doesn't want anybody but Chad.
She has nothing to lose. If she loses, she's still going to be in prison. So why not?
She wins by more attention.
And in this case, if she wanted to be lawyer Lori, I think she wins on the self-defense. If you look at the evidence that's out there, if you look at the statements that came in from her daughter in this particular case, they were solid when it comes to this question.
Do Alex Cox's statements come in?
They might. I think the fight's still out there.
They're relevant.
I think they're
we're talking about the daughter that was murdered.
Absolutely.
And
the daughter
couldn't
she
be
murdered.
identified.
Oh, absolutely.
Couldn't be identified because her body was...
No, that's true. But if she wanted to be lawyer Lori, then it's going to be fine. But she's not going to do that.
Wait. This is interesting, because you're saying...
One can always argue she controlled that daughter. And the testimony was false.
Yes.
The best evidence for Lori Daybell are the statements by the daughter she murdered.
Absolutely.
Wow. Those statements come in?
Yes.
Yeah.
They absolutely
They're not going to be believed.
She's only unavailable because she was murdered by Lori.
They're going to argue about whether it's self-serving and their accuracy. And all
I say they come in.
But you got to reverse rules with Lori right now.
She was being manipulated. She was afraid, and she was a minor.
That's not what the video showed. She was specific about this.
Jack Rice.
Lori's running the table right now.
Josh Schiffer. Thank you. Great to see everyone.